Yeah, he got himself injured in the pre-season just before he started the JLT series and got tackled and hurt his hip, and that's the reason why he didn't play the whole pre-season. But he was able to get back for the round one and has been playing under some sufferance ever since. We've been playing him every week, clearly hoping that he'd get better, but it was affecting his form to the point that he obviously needs a rest now and get it right. And it's at least 2 weeks, and we'll see how he is in a couple of weeks.
Hindsight's obviously a wonderful thing there, but did he come back too soon? Was he not fully recovered from the hip injury?
Well, we thought he was, but given the circumstances for what our team was, it was pretty young at the start of the year. We thought he could get in and play, and that's what we made a decision on doing. And looking back on it, he clearly wasn't absolutely right. But also, rarely for footy a player's 100% right. And at the time, the circumstances required that he play. And now it's probably got to the point where he needs to get himself right and wait a couple of weeks and work on it and get back in hopefully only 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Does that make you any more cautious about any of the guys that are coming back now?
No, each case has to be treated on its individual merits, and they're all different. So you need to be mindful of that. And we were fortunate that the players that played last weekend have all pulled up really well. So it was just in Kieran's particular case that that's affected him, but the others that played on the weekend and Tommy Papley from the week before have all been pulling up pretty well.
He's won some external criticism, John, to start the season. Kieran, does this go a fair way to explaining maybe why he hasn't been up to the standards that we've seen from him in the past?
Well, I mean, he just hasn't quite been right. But once you put your name out there and you want to play every week, you're entitled to go out there and play the best you can. That's the reality of what the expectations are from the team and the club, and obviously from outside the club as well. But internally we knew he was managing some challenges, and that's just got on top of him in regards to not physically being able to play at the level that he's wanted to.
Nick Newman, the more likely man to replace him?
Yeah, he's a chance to come in and replace him. He's a player that's played some senior footy for us this year and has looked quite well at different times, so he's certainly a chance. A couple of others, but he'd be one in the frame, yeah. McVeigh won't play this week. No, we expect him to train today, but he tightened up a little bit in the hamstring last week and training on our second session, so that's a bit of a warning sign not to push too hard. So he's not going to play this week. Hopefully he gets through training today and just needs some more training, which will happen over the next week.
I guess on the flip side, guys like Heaney and Papley, a game or two under their belt coming back now, is that, I guess, a bit of relief for you guys so far?
Well, the expectations is those guys keep getting better as well, but it's not just going to happen with those guys. It's also got to be the players that have been playing since round one. So it's across the entire 22 that we picked this week. The expectations are that all of them perform to a level that we know is competitive and gives us the best chance of winning, whether you've just played one game or you've played the 5 games.
Guys like, I guess, in the midfield, Luke Parker and Josh Kennelly have copped a bit of flack for underperforming. Yeah. Would you agree that they have so far? Well,
I think all of our team is. I mean, you look at our numbers, you look at our performances, and it's hard to shy away from any of that factor. We haven't had many good players in that first 5 weeks of the season. That's why we are where we are. But we've got confidence that those players that you mentioned in particular can turn it around, and we know that them and their best is pretty formidable, and they need to be playing well. They know that, but also their teammates around them need to be playing well.
And the likes of Hanbury, Kennedy and Grundy, who collected knocks last week, are they all right and ready to go this week?
Yeah, they'll all be playing this week, yeah.
Touched on, obviously, I guess some of the senior players not playing to the level that you'd like, and you guys have been quite vocal that you've been happy with the younger guys. Why do you think that those senior guys who have got so much quality haven't really been able to perform to their full ability?
Well, they've all got, as a collective, they just need to make, as far as playing to the level that they required to, is that they just haven't done it. Now, why, they're all got individual backgrounds to that, but ultimately they haven't been able to perform to the level they have been, and that's a level of, some have been down a bit on confidence, some physically have suffered like Kieran, but in the end you need to find a way, and we're confident they'll find a way, but obviously after 5 weeks we need to get going. Josh's season, probably up until last week, was actually pretty solid. Luke Parker the week before against West Coast was pretty good, but as Dan Hanbury the week before against Collingwood was pretty good. We just haven't put it together as a collective. It's really a reflection of our team, has just been our players being thereabouts here and there rather than the whole whole game.
I noticed in your post-match press conference you were sort of exasperated when talking about the confidence issue with the group. You felt like it's maybe getting away. Is that something? How do you arrest it? It must be such.
Not so much. It wasn't exasperated. It was more just stating the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, when you haven't been winning games, that's what happens. But there's only one way, and that's by hard work and turning it around. So that's what happens when you're going through a period of not playing well. You just need to make sure you turn it around. We've got the confidence that we've got the team this week to be able to do that, and our players have got a determination to be able to do it, and that's the simple way it can happen.
You would only have a game-by-game outlook, a week-by-week outlook. It probably doesn't surprise you that some people are saying the Swans are already gone for the season, they can't make the finals. How do you kind of react to that kind of criticism?
Well, it's not so much a reaction to the criticism. I don't know whether we have to react to the criticism. We just have to go about doing it. And, it's, in the end, that's what we get judged on. And if it's not about what we say, it's actually about what we do. We haven't been able to do it to this point. The season's certainly not a write-off as far as we're concerned, but we need to make sure we get it back on track, and we can only do that by playing the sort of footy and the brand of football that we know we can, and we need to do it this week.
At what point is there a readjustment of what you want to get out of the season, John?
There's always what I want to get out of the season is playing good football every week, and regardless of whether we sit on the ladder, and I've said that constantly since I've been here, is to, if you're sitting on top of the ladder, we want to play well this week, and if we're sitting where we are at the moment, we want to play well this week. That's what we've always done, and that's what we need to do, and we need to turn it around.
There's a perception there that the draw in the next few weeks isn't too bad for you. You're playing against teams also in that latter part of the ladder. Do you see this as an opportunity to kind of kick-start the season, get a bit of momentum?
Well, we see every week as an opportunity to get some momentum, and this week's no different to last week as far as how we viewed the game. And there's no easy games in AFL football, and you just look across the rounds every week. There's no easy ones. And we need to play better regardless of who we play. And this week's an opportunity for us to play better regardless of who we play. Carlton's first half on the weekend was pretty good. I'm sure they'll get some players returning this week. And we need to play to the level we want to play at regardless of who we play.
Just on those senior players and the confidence and their indifferent form so far, what have you done as a coaching staff or as a coach to help them deal through their so-called form slump?
Well, it's understanding that they're still quality players and making sure that they understand that, and giving them their confidence to be able to know that they can return to their best and what their best actually looks like, and having a plan to get to that best. It's important to not just talk about it, it's making sure each of our players knows what their best looks like, and making sure we get that balance of challenging the high standards but also the ability to be able to bounce back in a really strong way. And our players are strong enough to be able to do that. We're really confident in their ability to be able to bounce back and give a really strong performance this weekend.
Just on you touched on Newman being in the mix. Could you just give us an idea if anyone else might be sort of in contention for that position?
Newman, Brandon Jack's performances have been really solid. James Rose played well in the reserves last week. There's a few in the contention for that role, and we'll sort of see how training goes today, obviously, before we make that call. But we feel as though we've got a few players that can add to that midfield mix, which is really important to do. At this stage, we don't expect him to be playing. His performance was okay last week, but we thought that Lewis Melican's performance in his first game was a real positive. We've had 6 new players this year, and most of them are coming in and shown bits and pieces. And certainly Lewis last week, his performance was really strong. He was probably one of our better players. So, we expect him to play again this week and to play really well.
No more debutants. You're not considering any more debutants this week? I know
Have you got any left?
No, there's still a few there. No, not this stage. No, we're not. But we know that training sessions always can change things. We saw that with Sammy Naismith a couple of weeks ago. So I'm a bit reluctant to make close-ended statements just at the moment. But at this point, we don't expect to.